where we'll always be informing you, ensure that you are enlightened, even as we look at crucial stories that are taking center stage right here in the country and across the borders. It's always a pleasure doing this with you. My name is Linda Alela. Once again, I have said the program is Morning Cafe, and you are open to interact with us. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. We will be discussing what is taking center stage in the country, more so on the quest to 2022. That is general elections. We'll be looking at the aspect of intolerance that has been witnessed and fears raised, and of course conversations as to how we might need to have a conversation of quelling this or stopping the same. We'll also be looking at generally what the Kenya-Somali dispute continues to bring on the table and how best this can be resolved, not forgetting the indifferences that have been witnessed, if at all you would want to call them indifferences, between the judiciary and the executive. So we focus on the judiciary versus the executive. This as the Attorney General has proceeded over to appeal on the ruling by the courts in regards to, of course, getting the 6 judges on a board, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta being compelled to appoint them after he said that he would not do that based on the fact that, according to him, these judges had issues to do with integrity. We'll also be looking at so much more in regards to the involvement of, the public servants that is in the world of politics. And the question is, why is it that it is taking center stage in such a scenario? Should they be seated somewhere and, focus much on doing what it is that they're supposed to do as compelled by the Constitution, as opposed to moving around, politicking? All this is what we'll be looking at. This even as we're looking to see whether Madam Anne Kananu then, of course, will bring a different shift in the talks of Nairobi, as she is likely to be sworn in as Nairobi governor after the court again quashed Sonko's appeal. So we'll be looking at all that later on Matters Health. We focus on genital and uterine infections alongside Dr. Kibe, and right before that we'll be looking at the aspect of understanding disability, and especially at our institutions we'll be having a lecturer of matters disabilities as we ponder on how best we can make the environment safe for them. So karibu sana, all this happening right here. It is my pleasure to have you interact with us. Tell us what you think about the subjects of the day, this as we continue with the broadcast. But first things first, we briefly look at what the papers detail before we engage the guests of the day. We have the Standard newspaper, the People Daily, and the Daily Nation. The front pages of these papers. First, we start with the People Daily. Uhuru told me to start early campaigns. This is what the Deputy President has been saying. He says that his boss told him that if you want to capture the mountain, start, traversing this region very early and make sure that you take them good as well. DP claims it is the President who advised him to camp in Mount Kenya. A story captured on page 5. This as conversations as to who is going to woo the mountain best are on, and we'll be looking at that. This even as also these key leaders, Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto, have appeared as though they would want to get their deputies from the mountain. So there's also been that headache as to what deputy to pick for these topmost contenders, and so we'll be looking at that. And after a long wait, Kananu to take oath of office. She is the 6th deputy governor to be elevated to the governor's position. A story captured on page 7. This is set to happen today, but we'll be following keenly to keep you up to tabs in regards to the same. We also get to see how then she will get a chance to appoint her own cabinet and also the people who will be serving under her. That is after those ones that were elected or were appointed by Governor Mike Sonko, or former governor of Nairobi Mike Sonko, then might not be able to be the people who will still be there. Well, politicians in last-ditch effort to enlist voters. The IEBC has missed its weekly targets, with very few Kenyans turning out to register. Well, with a week left for the exercise, leaders are polling all stops to show up numbers in their strongholds. A story captured on page 4. We don't know whether it will be a different scenario, in the last week of the voter registration process. Remember, it was a process that was taking 30 days, starting from the 4th day of October. And here we are, keenly watching to see what then this means. It's very difficult to mobilize the youth who see that even if they register, well, their votes will not count at all. So we'll be looking at it, the process of voter registration demonstration and to the unfortunate scenario and the troubles that bedevil Senator Anur. Senator arrested over gun incident, a story captured on page 9. It equally finds itself across all the different papers. We'll be looking at that later on. And UK soldier to be probed in a murder case. The soldier is said to have killed a 21-year-old Kenyan woman that is at Nanyuki Hotel and dumped her body in a septic tank 9 years ago. A story captured on page 2. And of course, the British government equally saying that they will work hand in hand with Kenya to make sure that this then is addressed. Those are the key stories that have been captured on the front page of the People Daily. And we also look at the Standard newspaper, and the Standard newspaper. Well, briefly, let's first look at the Daily Nation, which is what we have ready here. And 15 counties to watch in a state house race, well, likely to become the hotbeds of political campaigns in the country. That is in the next 10 months to August 2022 polls. These regions have made all the difference. That is in the two most recent presidential elections. And Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga have pitched camp in these particular counties that also account for a third of projected new voters. A story captured on page 7, and the counties are captured right there. We're talking about the likes of Turkana, Uasin Gishu, Nyandarua, Marsabit, like Laikipia, Meru, Nyeri, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Kiambu, Nakuru, Nyamira, and Kisii County. The conversation is on as to how these leaders are able to woo the voters in these respective counties, just so they would be able to garner some numbers from this particular end. All this in a bid to make sure that one of them becomes a president in 2022. Of course, we also have other presidential hopefuls, and the conversation is on the fish story. How to know your tilapia is from lake. There is that distinct taste of tilapia from Lake Victoria. People visiting the lake region crave, but with so many variants on sale, how do you pick out the right one? That's an interesting piece there, as captured on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. And what is happening in our neighboring country? Well, Kampala, Museveni blames explosion on terrorists. President Yoweri Museveni describes the Saturday night explosion that killed one person in the capital Kampala as a terrorist attack. Unfortunate occurrence. We certainly hope that we do not have these attacks again back, because then in a huge way they disadvantage us. We'll be looking at that, and we also get the view of the guests this morning to make sure that at least we get to understand what could have informed these driving schools. All operators told to seek licenses afresh. Hundreds of schools face closure following decision by NTSA to issue fresh licenses in a bid to weed out rogue operators. This is a story that has been captured on the back page of the Daily Nation, that in regards to what is said there. So even as you go to these schools, you need to make sure that you are getting yourself into the right institution. If at all you have to get your driving license. Now, Ruto's secret card. Deputy President William Ruto has made a key concession to show up his presidential bid, but it could be a double-edged sword to the beneficiaries. Well, of course, this will be looked at later on by the Daily Nation, and also we'll be getting updates of the same to keep you up to tabs in regards to what the DP will be saying. Increased fees lock students out of varsity is the most unfortunate piece to hear this morning. University of Nairobi Director of Corporate Affairs John Orindi said that 1,971 government-sponsored students have not reported 4 weeks since the admissions began. Well, they have made it by Friday, and the deadline for first-year students to report to the September-December semester of the 6,407 students who received letters from the Kenya Universities and College Central Placement Services, that is COOPS. 4,436 have made it. Thousands of self-sponsored undergraduate, masters and doctorate students are also yet to join the university following the increase in fees. There is a story captured on the back page, and you can always grab a copy and get to understand some more on that. And justice for Agnes Wanjiru. Well, pressure on UK to prosecute soldier. Agnes Wanjiru, then aged 21, was last seen going into a room with a British soldier. It's a tongue twister in Nanyuki town 2 months months later, a decomposing body was found in a septic tank. Quite an unfortunate piece right there. But now that the investigations are on, we certainly hope that justice will prevail in this particular case. And as I have said, we also have the Standard newspaper. And the front page of the Standard newspaper, Mudavadi under pressure to support Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Until 2 weeks ago, NC leader was busy out there traversing the different parts of the country campaigning for his presidential bid. But it appears that there's some pressure from powerful forces that is within government that want him to back former Prime Minister Right Honorable Raila Odinga for his presidential bid. Well, we wait to see whether this is realizable. This has Haji's take on big cases and DCI boss Kinoti, a story captured on page 12 on this particular special report, and so much more. Uhuru gave me secrets to climb the mountain. We've also touched on that in regards to the utterances of Deputy President William Ruto, who says that he got all these secrets of traversing the mountain from his boss. Those are the key stories, and we'll be looking at them alongside my guests. But first things first, we also take a look at what my team has prepared in regards to the news stories that we have. And on this particular one that we've also touched on as we look at the papers, the British government has vowed to leave no stone unturned until justice is served to the family of Kenyan lady Agnes Wanjiru, who was allegedly killed by a British soldier in Nanyuki on March 31st, 2012. In a statement on Sunday, Jen Marriott, the British High Commissioner in Nairobi, affirmed that senior military officials from the UK will be in Kenya in the coming weeks for a collaborated investigation into Wanjiru's murder. A 2019 inquest in Kenya concluded that Wanjiru was murdered by British soldiers, but no arrests were made.
The British government now says it is fully cooperating with an investigation into the murder of a Kenyan woman, Agnes Wanjiru, whose body was found in a septic tank in Nanyuki. British High Commissioner to Kenya says the UK will support the inquiry into the tragic death of Agnes Wanjiru in 2012. In a statement, the UK government says it shares the outrage and concern about the tragic death of Agnes Wanjiru. The UK's Special Investigation Branch carried out initial inquiries in Kenya, including providing information about British personnel to Kenyan police. No further requests were received at that time. The statement adds that following the conclusion of a Kenyan inquest in 2019, the UK understands that the Kenyan authorities are looking into the murder and will support the Kenyan police investigation. It adds that the conduct of the UK military here is incredibly important to the British government. Senior military visitors from the UK come to Kenya regularly, including in the coming weeks, and will be discussing Miss Wanjiru's murder and UK support to the Kenyan investigation, says the UK Embassy in Kenya. The UK Minister for the Armed Forces will be visiting Kenya next month and promised to follow up on the issue. British soldier identity has been established after he allegedly stabbed a Kenyan mother to death before dumping her body in a septic tank in 2012 and is widely known in the army. Agnes Wanjiru, 21, was murdered and put into the septic tank on March 31st, 2012, while her family searched for her. By the time her body was found, all the British Army Training Unit Kenya soldiers who had been at the hotel had returned to the UK. According to the Sunday Times, 5 soldiers from the unit gave the same name belonging to Soldier X.
I've seen it and my mind just went blank, and the only words I can think of were, "I'll never forgive you for this."
What did you say?
Just remember her. She was in the tank when I seen her. He took me to the tank and lifted it up, and I looked in, and I just remember seeing her in there.
After a night of partying in 2012, the body of Wanjiru, who left behind a 5-month-old daughter, was found at the Lions Court Inn Hotel in Nanyuki by a worker who noticed a foul smell. In their investigations done by the Sunday Times, soldiers who took part in the drunken night with local prostitutes said they were shown Wanjiru's body that evening. Her fingers and toes were missing due to advanced decomposition. She had a stab wound to her lower right abdomen and a blunt force injury to her chest. Her lungs had also collapsed.
All right, now we certainly hope that justice then prevails. Researchers from Maseno University in Kisumu County have raised concern over the upsurge of cancer cases occasioned by the negative impact of water hyacinth in Lake Victoria. Now, speaking to the press, Professor David Onyango, a cell molecular biologist in the Department of Zoology at Maseno University, says that most presumed fresh water, including the distilled bottled water, boreholes, rivers and the lake, which people consume directly, contain toxins of up to 10 micrograms, which is above the World Health Organization recommendations of 0.04 micrograms. Residents using the lake water directly claim they have been experiencing itchiness in the skin, stomach ache and diarrhea. Fishermen have urged the county government to intervene since the water has become impassable for their boats.
These microcystins have been found to be one of the causative agents of liver cancer.
Mimi kama mtu wa Homa Bay, ninaomba serikali atusaidie. Kama wanaweza kutuletea machine yenye inaweza toa hii makwekwe ndani ya maji, wala kututengenezea maji iwe safi.
Kama upande wa uvuvi, wakati tunaosha nyavu, unapata kama ukisimama kwa maji muda mrefu, ukitoka utasikia hii maji inakuwasha mguu, ukikuna inafurafura. Tuelewe ni nini. Tunaomba serikali inapoweza kuchukua jukumu ifanyie uchunguzi ione ina shida gani.
Cyanobacteria is a natural occurrence in many freshwater bodies, and so it's not something that should worry. That is a localized occurrence in Lake Victoria. Most freshwater bodies across the globe experience this.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Karanja Kibicho, has accused county governments of prioritizing revenue at the expense of public health by issuing too many bar and liquor licenses. This comes at a time when clubs and bars are abuzz with activities after the president lifted the COVID-19 curfew imposed last year.
Business in bars and clubs is booming a few days after President Uhuru Kenyatta lifted the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew. Revelers have been flocking the entertainment joints as they marked the first weekend since the dusk to dawn curfew was lifted during the Mashujaa Day celebrations. However, the Ministry of Interior has accused county governments of prioritizing revenue at the expense of public health by issuing too many bar and liquor licenses.
Mambo ya pombe, ile certificate ya pombe inapeanwa na county. Na tumeona na si kaunti ya Kirinyaga peke yake, ni kaunti zote nchi hii mzima wameanza kuweka revenue mbele ya afya ya watu. Kwa hivyo unapata wamepeana certificate license nyingi kwa bars, na sisi sasa tunakuwa mikono yetu imefungwa juu kama bar imefunguliwa na wako na license ya kutoka kwa county, sisi hatuna uwezo wa kucancel hiyo license. Yetu ni kuhakikisha wanatii ile sheria nyingine ya lika ile ya nakada.
But owners of entertainment joints say they will ensure the COVID-19 measures are followed to the latter.
Biashara inaendelea kama kawaida. Mambo na curfew wameondoa. Tunatembea free. Na binadamu pia sisi tujichunge.
Tunashukuru Uhuru Kenyatta kufungua kazi. Sahi tunasukuma maisha yetu vizuri. Tusomeshe watoto wetu wasome. Mabibi zetu wamehangaika, watoto wetu wamehangaika. Tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu amesikia maombi yetu. Leo Uhuru Kenyatta ametufungulia nchi.
Since the dusk to dawn curfew was enforced in March last year, a number of businesses were negatively affected. The curfew was put in place as a measure to curb the spread of COVID-19. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
For that, now the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, Jackson Ole Sapit, has reiterated the directive of barring politicians from making any political utterances in Anglican churches countrywide. The Archbishop has warned politicians against bribing innocent Kenyans. Ole Sapit has further urged Kenyans to give every politician a chance to sell their manifestos.
Lakini naita pia wanasiasa wanapopeleka kuuza sera zao, wasilete matusi, wasilete magawanyiko, wasikuje kudunisha moja kwa mwingine, kwa sababu hapo ndio unaenda kuongeza hasira kwa wale wanaounga yule mwingine mkono. Si ni kweli? Kwa hivyo enda uza sera yako bila ya kutaja jina ya mwingine wala kwenda kukashifu. Wacha huyo naye apate nafasi ya kuuza yake, na wananchi wa Kenya wapate nafasi ya kuchagua wakati watakapopata hiyo nafasi ya kuchagua.
And at least 8 people have been arrested in connection with the chaos that erupted during the Deputy President's tour in Busia County, that is on Saturday. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i said more arrests were expected, as Andrin Kilemi now reports.
The government has yet again reiterated that it will challenge the High Court ruling that declared Huduma number unconstitutional. Interior CS Fred Matiang'i says that the government was ready to even move to the Supreme Court to defend the move. The High Court ordered that the government conduct a data protection impact assessment before rolling out the Huduma cards, as required by the Data Protection Act. Meanwhile, police in Busia have arrested 8 suspects linked to Saturday's chaos that erupted after a section of residents barricaded roads to block Deputy President William Ruto's motorcade. Ruto had toured the western region to popularize his 2022 presidential bid.
Vijana muko, my friends.
Mheshimiwa Ruto akitaka kuja kuomba kura akuje. Raila akitaka kuja kuomba kura akuje. Gideon Moi akitaka kuomba kura akuje.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, speaking on Sunday, said more people would be arrested in connection with the incident, warning that leaders who may have been involved in planning and executing the chaos will not be spared.
And I have asked the security team there to look for everyone who was involved in that organization, even if they are political leaders, whether they're elected members of parliament or not, I don't care. Arrest them, we take them to court. No one is allowed to disrupt meetings, and we cannot allow those types of things to happen.
Matiang'i warning Kenyans, especially the youth, against disrupting political meetings, further observing that the security sector had adopted a zero-tolerance approach to those who threaten national security.
We know what that has done to our country before when we had those kinds of jokes. We started like that in 2007, and you know where we ended. Safari hii, we will not wait and procrastinate. We will act with speed and firmly.
On its part, the Ministry of Information and Technology has urged players in broadcasting sectors, and especially the community-based channels, to be more vigilant and to avoid using those platforms to steer tribal politics.
Mambo ya hiyo frequency, I'm sure the Director General sasa amesikia, na mmesikia kazi yake ni regulation ya communications, broadcasting, internet.
If you break the law, we will shut you down without batting an eyelid. Because you see, if it's in the best interest of the country, we will do it.
The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government has assured Kenyans of a peaceful campaign and election period. Those arrested in connection with yesterday's chaos are being held at the Busia police station before they are arraigned in court. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
And presidential hopeful Jimmy Wanjigi now says that ODM boss Raila Odinga has destroyed democracy in the party. Meanwhile, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi has called on Kenyans to elect leaders who will revive the economy, as Paul Kirobi reports.
Just a day after Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho dropped his presidential bid in favor of ODM leader Raila Odinga, ODM member and presidential hopeful Jimmy Wanjigi has attacked Odinga, accusing him of frustrating democracy in the party.
Wao sasa ndio wanasema wanaunga hata party leader wangu mkono. Hiyo haiwezekani. ODM si project ya mtu. Hatuwezi kubali hiyo. ODM ni project ya wananchi wa Kenya. Na uongozi wa ODM ni wananchi wa Kenya.
Popularization of the ODM party and the party leader in the Mount Kenya region. I think it is in the public domain that the mountain has shifted and our leader is going up the mountain one step at a time.
Wanjigi spoke after meeting ODM delegates drawn from Manyata, Runyenjes and Mbeere North, claiming that the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga has a hand in troubles in the party.
Let me tell you, Junet Mohammed, we demand your resignation because people like us work day and night to sell the agenda of the Orange Democratic Movement.
Chama ya ODM ni yetu zote. We need an apology from Junet Mohammed asikunje kutachufuria chama.
Meanwhile, Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho has continued to castigate UDA's presidential hopeful William Ruto over his bottom-up economic model.
Yani mtu haja watie hisia kali ati mumwache baba sahihi ambaye tuenda kutoboa. Na mimi nataka baba atoboe. Unajua kwa sababu gani? Nataka baba atoboe 2022 ili 2027 aniwachie. Yule mwingine akienda hatuioni tena.
Elsewhere, ANC party boss Musalia Mudavadi took his vote hunting mission to Rongai, Kajiado County after attending a church service at Family Harvest Church. Mudavadi urged Kenyans to make wise decisions come 2022 by voting in leaders who will care for the economy of the country and ensure a better Kenya.
Ili uamuzi ule ukifanyika, uwe uamuzi ambao utakuwa wa maana na manufaa kwa taifa letu la Kenya. Tuchague viongozi ili usiku kufika mwananchi atalala kwa nyumba yake bila wasiwasi.
Wale ambao walikuwa wanapigia Raila Odinga kelele pia washindwe. Tuko na taifa ambayo inahitaji umoja. Mtu yoyote ambaye anatafuta kura asikizwe. Kama unampenda umsikize. Kama umpendi uachane na yeye. Si ndio hiyo? Hii Kenya ni ya kila mtu.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Still in politics, Deputy President William Ruto has condemned ODM leader Raila Odinga for promising a 6,000 shilling stipend to every unemployed youth instead of creating opportunities for them. Ruto and his allies spoke during a church service in Gashie, Kiambu County, before making several stopovers during which his allies took a jibe at Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed over his remarks on what to expect of a Raila Odinga presidency. Musa Salah with that.
Sunday's church service at Latter Glory in Kiamba, Kiambu County. Deputy President William Ruto and his allies joined other congregants in praise and worship. And once they took over the podium, politics took center stage, with Ruto's allies putting Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed on the spot over his comments that should former Prime Minister Raila Odinga bag the presidency, power will be centered in his Nyanza backyard.
Huyu mtu ambaye anaitwa Junet Mohammed, venye aliongea hakuongea vibaya. Aliweza kutuonyesha siri ya Raila Odinga. Juu tumekuwa tukishindwa Raila Odinga ametupangia nini?
Na wale wote ambao mnaongea mabaya ya Junet, tafadhali kama rafiki yake nimesema ikome. Because Junet is the only honest person in that fraternity, hiyo ingine iko ile side.
Sasa Junet akisema hiyo iko makosa gani? Ni mzuri aseme kwa sababu kuna matajiri wachache hawaelewi.
Raila Odinga asiwadanganye kwamba anapanda mlima. Hiyo ni biashara ngumu sana. Kama kupanda kwa jukwaa paka akuwe supported, mlima ataupanda aje?
Saa hizi wamekundiwa kwamba kuna mlima, ya kwamba ramani ya mlima hii itabidi sasa mjipange, kwa sababu haichukui wiki moja ama mbili ama miezi. Hii mlima inataka miaka.
The leaders further condemned politically instigated violence in recent rallies in Githurai and Runyenjes, warning that it could spill over to the 2022 general election. The deputy president, however, criticized the ODM boss for disrupting Jubilee's Big Four agenda, during his several stopovers in his tour of Kiambu County, ruling out the possibility of joining hands with Odinga.
Your Excellency, if you come to Kiamba and there are people who don't want to listen to you, the honorable thing to do is to move on. But you cannot export violence by bringing goons and thugs to come and beat up people in Runyenjes because they have failed to listen to you.
And whatever provocation you may bring to hustlers, our only fight in this country is the fight for a better economy.
Ati sisi tumekosa agenda, tumekosa plan, tumekosa mpango, mpaka sisi twende tukodeshe mtu ya kitendawili ati akuje akuwe kiongozi ya nani? Bwana, hapana, hiyo ni matusi.
Ruto's hustler narrative dominated the rallies, with his allies expressing their confidence that the bottom-up economic model will transform the lives of Kenyans.
Because when you told these people 2 years ago that the conversation in this country will change, nobody believed it. Lakini sasa simeona kila mtu anajaribu model yake ya uchumi, hata wenye hawana idea uchumi ni nini, wanakuja kuleta mambo ya handout economy na jobless.
Tunataka serikali ya Kenya mzima. Hatutaki serikali ya kunyima watu wengine kazi. Tumekubaliana ni kubadilisha katiba ama ni kubadilisha uchumi? Ni katiba ama ni uchumi? Hebu niona wala wanasema tubadilishe uchumi. Kabisa, si ndio? Mimi nataka niwaulize, sisi tutafanya guesswork ama tutafanya ile tuko sure?
Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohamed remarks on what ODM leader Raila Odinga's presidency could look like if elected president next year, has elicited mixed reactions among Deputy President William Ruto's allies as the second in command continues to make inroads in President Uhuru Kenyatta's Mount Kenya backyard. Musa Salah, TV 47, Kiambu County.
One of the stories that will form the basis of our conversation this morning. But first, we take a quick breather, come back to introduce the guests of the day as we get into the conversation.
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC Nighting with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister? Give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
So you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
Is there really a formula for dating and marriage?
Some men are procreational, some men are recreational.
Every Wednesday on TV 47, the Men's Conference brings you a cocktail of top-notch advice to breed alpha males for alpha females in the society.
Tunaweza tumeite nje tutesiwe do. Mimi naitwa Ben. Mimi ndo rafiki ya babako.
Tumeleta dozi zako, usimize mtoto.
And now we have to deal with a drug addict.
Yani ulio mzai wako. I had to.
Sema! Dozi zangu ziko wapi?
Ben!
Tuisheni Uganda.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher and trickier with each passing day.
Na wawache kuja kutuletea makasiriko.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
Nonetheless, you have justified your change of stance.
It's my bloody personal politics.
Tell them this. They could have gone to do law so that they become judges. They do not.
Emotional and
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording and remember.
Moving has never been easy.
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister, give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
So you go release and be like,
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it. Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger. Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister, give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
So you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
Is there really a formula for dating and marriage?
Some men are procreational, some men are recreational.
Every Wednesday on TV47, the Men's Conference brings you a cocktail of top-notch advice to breed alpha males for alpha females in the society.
Tunaweza tumeite nje tutresiwe do.
Mimi naitwa Ben, mimi ndo rafiki ya babako.
Tumeleta dozi zako, usimizi ya mtoto.
And now we have to deal with a drug addict.
Yani ulio mbele.
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister, give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
so you go release and be like,
Men
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister, give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
so you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
To key stories that we'll have picked on, well, the political intolerance that is being witnessed in the country is one that we do not step out of this set without discussing. And we also do not fail to touch on the judiciary versus executive war that is on. I don't know whether we need to call it a war or not. But of course, we definitely touch on that briefly. We certainly hope that we also get to understand the involvement of, civil servants in politics, active involvement for that matter, especially on the aspect of campaigns. We have seen CSs traversing different parts of the country alongside political hopefuls or presidential hopefuls as they help them, push for their bid for presidency and so much more. We definitely look at all that. So karibu sana once again. Remember, it's important that you're part and parcel of the conversation. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. The gentleman on board, Professor George Wajakoya, who is a political aspirant, I would still want to know his position. I have been following up on his, moves, evidently still on the race, but just how tough is the terrain? He'll definitely going to tell us that. And of course, we also have Alex Mwadhi, who's a governance expert. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. After a while, we are trying to get a hold of Dr. David Masanga, Pan-African Forum Chair. That is, of course, he joins us virtually. Before we get a hold of him, let's engage the guests that we have in studio. Gentlemen, thank you so much for creating time to be with us this particular morning. So much has been captured on the paper. I have seen presidential hopefuls, making their way to the newspapers. And I know this is normal. And I mean, we are open, and it's a democratic space in the sense that we have very many people who are showing their interest. A professor here, Alex, has shown his interest, but you will rarely see him on the papers. And now that's the question is, I mean, is the media also a little bit, biased on how they are handling some of these, things? Because when we're talking about the presidential hopefuls, it's evident that we're talking about Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who has not even declared his interest, as opposed to others that have, and the likes of the DP.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you, Linda, for having me on set. The politics of this country over the last 60 years has not been about issues, has not been about what someone can do. Politics in this country has been about rhetoric. The media in this country, we know that is about numbers, and this is acceptable that you open up a business to make money, not to really change any people's opinions and all that. So what happens is that the media concentrates on people who are very rhetorical, people who go out there and make a lot of noise and show that they have follow-up in the masses. And that's why you find people go to church on a Sunday and then do campaigns. On a Saturday, they also do what they call visits to various parts of the country, and in the process, maybe open up dam here, do something there, and that becomes news. Remember, for you guys in the media, when a dog bites a man, that's not news, but when a man bites a dog, that's news. So to an extent, the heat that I've been here is about a meeting that was supposed was disrupted in Busia, and that has become a Kralian call, and that's what everybody is talking about. And everybody wants to convince people that I stand with the truth, I stand with the law, I stand with the constitution and all that. So that's why you'll find people like my friend, Professor, it will take time before he comes on the top page of the whatever. But I can tell you, if he has a controversy tomorrow, any kind of controversy tomorrow, including if he stole a billion shillings from NYS, he'll be on the front page and he'll be electable in Kenya.
Right. Yeah. What does this speak of the electorate? Because, sometimes we might want to point a finger at the media, but reality is that we also sell what is here, and we also, give the public what they wish to consume. And in this case, it appears like the public is interested so much so on shenanigans, interested on, politics of tribe, interested in politics of, party affiliation as opposed to ideologies. Because once again, I think I have said, I have been looking at what Prof does right here. He goes to different parts of the country and also does his thing in terms of, sending or taking development down there. And I mean, he's not even in a civil office, so to speak. He's not in the government, and therefore this is in his own capacity. Then one would want to ask, is it that the electorate is so blind to see some of the aspect of ideologies and everything, and what will it take for us to change that?
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Alex, for bringing it. Actually, he answered it, but let me just come out with the truth. And first of all, Linda, I'm glad that you've been following. Therefore, what I'm going to say here is not just because I want to aggrandize myself to the top. I've been traversing this country. I was in West Pokot, and this television station covered me, K24 covered me, and the whole world saw. And first of all, I have to thank the people of Rift Valley for having been very conducive. They invited me, I spoke to them, I raised funds for Women Project, and I was very shocked to see the PS devolution come in. I saw the governor of Lunyangapuo bring his donation. But what was intriguing is, and I'll start with KTN, they're my friends, yes. The media was there, KTN was there. They never even gave me a slot or even covered. And I don't know how TV47 got to tap in when later on I realized that they were not in. And secondly, if you look at the shenanigans that is going on, both Ruto and Raila are government projects. Let none of them come and accuse the other one. Raila is funded fully by the government, and you can see the funding in broad daylight. You see the army, the security forces opening the roads for him. You see civil servants who have taken a code of, who have signed a code of ethics to uphold democracy in terms of being civil servants accompanying Raila, the permanent secretaries, the minister himself, Matiang'i and others. And then you also see Ruto on the other side. So I'm fighting the government, let me put it that way, because of the regulation of the media on the other side, which is individually regulated, owned by people who are affiliated to those people. How do you expect people like me to come up? That's why you see foreign journalists, foreign media houses like BBC and Al Jazeera covering me, but for whose interests? The votes are here, they're not outside the country. I'm much more popular outside the country than I am. I'm also popular on the ground. The other day I was in Mombasa. When Ruto was doing his gig outside without ideology, I was meeting the church leadership. The first time I met 150 pastors in Mombasa. The second day I met 80. And we talked on the strategic plan on what we were going to do. But these people have started running very fast, and then you see lunacy, and you see those who are surrounding them. And you ask yourself, why is Professor Wajakoya running on his own? It's because they closed the windows for us. I tried to go into ODM, I was kicked out. I tried Ruto's, they kicked me out because you have those around them who do not want to see people like us. And that's why we are fighting for change. If you go to ODM party, you'll see some people who have been in parliament forever. It's like they were glued on the ground. And if you look at people in Luo Nyanza today, and I will finish, Luo Nyanza today, the people who are crying most are people like me who have gone to school, but they don't subscribe to ODM. When it comes to popularity on the ground, they are more popular than, but because you have not shaken Baba's hand, you are kicked out. So those are the people who have joined me, and thank you. And
you know, Jimmy Wanjigi, one of the stories that finds itself, of course, this was yesterday, and also in the papers, complains that, ODM boss then has really stifled the activities in the party, and therefore he says it's no longer the party that, the national outfit that it appeared to be. What do you make of that statement, and what do you make of what it is that Professor then speaks about in regards to the same?
I think I had that clip even when he was talking about the fact that it seems ODM is owned by some individuals. And I wondered whether that was a political rhetoric or is being a political novice, because we know political parties in this country belong to individuals. Right. There's no debate about that. There's no democracy in any one of them. And why do I say there's a lot of confidence that ODM has been around since the year 2005. How many national elections have they conducted? Anybody who is in ODM in terms of leadership, as per the ODM constitution, is not there by vote. So basically that means that they are illegally there. Right. When you go to Jubilee, when you go to any party, including UDA that has been formed recently, there are no elections. So if you're talking about Secretary General, ODM, Secretary General, whatever, who elected them? So when someone says that and he's within that party, that there's no democracy, one wonders what he's talking about.
Yes, well, it's evident.
But it is in his right to be able to question, because when people question, then things change. Because when he questions, when he's inside the party, peradventure that people may listen and now start the process where they'll start having the proper elections being conducted so that the party can become democratic. But we know, all of us, that parties belong to individuals.
Right.
And you join and sing to their tune. They may pretend to have a semblance of, nomination where Joho comes up and says, I want to be president in ODM, and then after some time he says, no, now I leave it to Baba to be able to be on his own. We knew he would do that. We knew.
All right, and one would be tempted to ask, even as we close on this one, how different is the Roots Party in terms of, the democratic space, in terms of, probably us running away from what it is that Alex speaks of. And it's a reality of the matter, so it would be absurd to hear that Jimmy Wanjigi complains of the aspect of democracy being stifled, yet he's been part and parcel of this party, when there are others that complained of the same. I mean, how many times have we said that nomination processes are a sham in most of these parties?
First of all, on Jimmy Wanjigi, and I don't know him, and I don't want to speak anything ill of him, and as Alex put it could be correct. But how sure are we that it's not Raila's project to hoodwink Kenyans that there is internal democracy in ODM? You can see Joho coming up, and we all knew this. First of all, he came up to stand, and then yes, this is something that is craffled within ODM, and everybody knows that. A standard 2 child will tell you that if you don't worship Raila Odinga and kneel before him, in ODM you're going nowhere. And I'm saying this, those who love democracy can follow me, those who do not love democracy can vote for whoever, because I've said what I say to be main truth. But when it comes to our party, and thank God that is actually saying what we have been doing, our party was formed in 2012. And of course, we have to go through a lot of problems. There was a narrative being played that Professor Ajakoya has been sent in by the British and Americans, and he has a lot of money. So I was blocked. I had to go to court. I had to sell some of my properties to prove to them that that was not the main case. But when it comes to internalized democracy, you can refer to the Registrar of Political Parties. She has the records as to what we have been doing as a party. You'll find out that Roots Party is the only party in this country that has got a chairman whose brother is a member of parliament, is a minister. Joe Mcheru's brother is the chairman of Roots Party. He's from the mountain. Our Secretary General is an Asian lawyer from Mombasa, an advocate, a potential, he'll be sworn in soon as an advocate. The National Organizing Secretary is from West Pokot. And if you go to distribution of seats, we are everywhere. We have everybody. So we follow what we believe in. And as for me, I'm facing challenges now. There's a Mr. Kamau who is also vying for president within the Roots Party. And we have said, okay, let us campaign and let us see what comes out of it. And if Kamau takes over, I will support him. But you mentioned this to other parties, my friend. I don't know what will happen. That's why you see some of us are not going to have any coalition with these people, because the moment you go in, and they have approached me, by the way, Mr. Alex, because they have now seen I'm going very fast. Oh, can you come and join Raila? I said, hell no. I am not joining anybody. I'm going up to the Debe, let Kenyans decide, and 40% of Kenyan electorate will not vote for those people. They will vote for me. And who knows? I could be the next president of this country.
All the
Time
best.
will tell.
All right, all the best. And going to the papers briefly, the DP now speaks out and says that it's actually the president that gave him the secret, or I don't know whether the card of going to the mountain pretty much early, and so that he'd be able to win the hearts. And maybe it's something that really worked in favor of him. Uhuru told me to start early campaigns. DP claims it is the president who advised him to camp in Mount Kenya. You know, it's interesting to hear this, and I don't know who's trying to shame who or who's trying to say what, but one then would be tempted to agree and say that, well, there could be some truth in that. Then why is it that the president himself, again, at some point in time, complained that his deputy is out there campaigning as opposed to focusing much on making the best of what it is that they had as the Jubilee agenda, or the government's agenda? And speaking of which, then I'd want to know how far they have gone in terms of trying to woo the mountain, because everybody is headed there anyway.
Very interesting how you put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true that one of the things that came out as a disagreement at the initial stage was the fact that the president was saying that some people are starting their campaign too early. Not necessarily from him, maybe once in a while, but from his handlers, his team of political guys. So for the DP now to come back and say that he's actually the one who told him, I find it very interesting, very interesting. But politics is about propaganda and creating propaganda and using that propaganda to seduce people in terms of what you'd want. I have held a notion, and I'm still waiting for someone to discount that the bromance was only removed out of the public limelight.
Okay.
But it remains.
All right.
That they're still friends, that they're still working together. And you have to keep, you have to read the 48 laws of powers to understand the varied intricacies. You know, the 48 laws of power is not a Bible for anybody. Actually, it's very Machiavellian. But politics in this country are run in a Machiavellian way. They're deceitful. The politicians generally don't say what they mean, and they don't mean what they say. They say what you want to hear. And that's why he'll struggle, he'll go to West Pokot and build women funds and all that. But as long as he's not able to draw a crowd and a little bit of controversy, we will see him on Al Jazeera and BBC. And that convinces us that he's sponsored by those people.
All right.
By those people, you know. We'll interpret in that way. So this is not surprising for me.
All right.
But I was thinking it will come out in February.
It's come out a little bit early. Dr. David Masanga.
But there's something you had mentioned about the civil servants. I don't know whether we'll handle that.
Yeah, we'll handle that. That is one of the key things that we speak of this morning. Dr. Masanga, if you can hear us, good morning.
Good morning, Linda. Linda, and good morning, Professor, my friend, Wajikoya. And good morning, my lawyer friend, Mwafi. We have been on the struggle line for many years. And thank you very much for keeping the struggle, Professor. That was the dream we had in London. And if we can succeed, I will be the most happiest man on planet Earth. Thank you.
All right, so here we are. I don't know how possible it is for you to succeed. A dream that you built long time ago, but well, a dream that faces lots of, of course, controversies, a dream that faces lots of backlash, a dream that is on, yes, but of course on a terrain that appears to be favoring a few, or has been, channeled to favor a few. When we speak about what is happening in the country, and I know you've been following up keenly and especially on what has been there between the deputy president and his boss, and now he comes out to declare that it's his boss who told him to go out campaigning pretty much early and take goodies to the people of Central in particular, so that he would be able to win the hearts of many. And when he did that, or at a point when he was doing that, the president then cries foul. At a point when we are here again, it appears that he has done so much, so made gains again. The president appears not to be so happy. I mean, is it what that Alex speaks of, the sense that well, there's so much that meets the eye?
Let me tell you, Ruto is Machiavellian. And I agree with Murphy, and Professor has studied all these formats of strategies used by conmen. And I don't know why Professor is quiet. Go and hit the ground and tell people this guy is a conman. Ruto can, if you hand this country to Ruto, you are dead. If you hand it to him, you are dead. A man who cannot say thank you to you when you have saved him out of ICC. Is he worth it? Is he worth it? Ruto to me is just a con man. And I've stated it here. You can take me anywhere, Professor will remove me. We have always been there. We have struggled. And Professor, this is exactly what we used to struggle for. We don't want any other conmen coming here saying that no, wait. They are struggling for hustle. What is hustling? What is bottom-up economy. What is it? Any economy professor will tell you there, and Murphy, is based on what is basically there. We know Adam Smith brought a theory. There's no fear of bottom-up. Where will you implement bottom-up? People have talked about bottom-up. How do you implement bottom-up? The only way to implement bottom-up is to take Ruto to committee, because that is the only way we shall stop the economy from bleeding. Corruption is on. Look at the people who follow him. All of them have cases with DCI. All of them. Look at them. From Moses Kuria to anybody. These are the people whom Professor was talking much earlier, who have actually started following these groups. And that is the type of politics the younger generation like Professor Kikoya and others and Murphy should change in this country. And I support. I did not know that the professor was still on the race, because when your comrade, a son, a grown up, and a dad, and you look at him like this today, you feel happy. I didn't know he's on the race. Go ahead and liberate your country from this type of conman.
Hold it right there. Let's bring in a professor on the very same note. And just picking up from what it is that Mwadi spoke about and what Dr. Masanga speaks of, when forget about the aspect of corruption that we'll delve into later on. But the fact that the DP, you know, a person of his caliber can come out to speak this way of his boss. I mean, one would be tempted to think that, well, that is Machiavellian politics or that is deceit. But in real sense, there could be some truth in what it is that he speaks of. And therefore, is it that, you know, and based on what it is that we saw on the other day during the Mashujaa Day celebrations and the kind of bromance that was witnessed at that particular time, don't you think that at some point in time there's someone who's fooling the other?
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank Dr. Matanga. I've known Matanga for many years in London. He once employed me when I was disparate down there. So let's not take what he's saying as favoring me because we are friends. But I think it, to some extent he's speaking his mind. Let the world judge what he's saying, including my friend here. But now, going to the issue of the mountain, I don't know whether my brother, you come from the mountain, do you?
He does not come,
I want to say something, yeah.
They are brothers of the mountain, but doesn't...
Yeah, the mountain is a holy place. The mountain is supposed to be for holy people. And you know that the people of the mountain fought the white man to retain the mountain. Yeah. The mountain is a place of revelation. If you go to Mount Sinai, you'll find out that Moses had to go to the mountain to consult. But before he went there, he had to be purified by water. So when crooks go to the mountain, when people who do not deserve being near God, people who do not deserve, who do not repent, and that's why Prophet War should come in and pray repentance. People must repent before they go to that mountain. The Roots Party mountain is Nairobi. Nairobi is our party mountain. Okay. It's where we ought to climb, because Nairobi is where we have all the metropolitan and everybody here. Going to the mountain is deceitful. Why are we lying to ourselves? And also when it comes to Raila, and today I will speak on him, because always people say that I'm always attacking Ruto. I'm not attacking Ruto. Raila must be very careful, because by February, he might be duped. Okay. By February next year. He must know that he has taken his head holistically to the very, very people that have changed him. People don't see it the way I see it. All right. And if that comes in, don't blame. Do not blame yourself. And I'm telling Raila's handlers, the way you have gone into this thing, and the way you are running around, and the way people like Junet Mohammed and Raila's brothers are talking that now we are in the deep state, we shall take power. Let Kenyans realize, and the only way out of all this crap, Raila's issue and Ruto's issue, is me who will liberate this country. All right, and still I'm asking on the aspect of the DP and him declaring that it's the president who told him start campaigns early, proceed to the mountain and take them goodies. Why is it then that at some point he would complain of the same? Both of these two people, both the president and deputy president, they have ruined this country. So whatever is coming out now is actually immaterial, because what they ought to be talking about is how much have we done and what is our scorecard? Okay. How have we fought corruption? How have we tried to alleviate poverty? What about healthcare? Those are the most important and fundamental things that Kenyans want to see. Ruto is playing about a game of the mindset. Hustlers, hustlers. But Ruto has how many choppers hanged up at Wilson Airport? The man is the most corrupt person. And if I am speaking it as a lie, let his bloggers blame me. Ruto is very corrupt. That's what I can say.
But why does he walk scot-free?
Well, look at the people who have been arraigned.
I mean,
when the president tried to come up to clean up, having the DCI to do his work, you saw what happened. Our people are being done this. Look at the scandals in Rift Valley. Look at the maize. Look at the way farmers are crying out in Rift Valley. Come on, let us not come here and hoodwink Kenyans, because if some people become president in this country, they will do it themselves anyway. Let people in the mountain be very careful, because they're the ones who have the properties and they're the ones going to lose. Thank you.
Well, as they say that the DP is the most corrupt person, then he's able to sweep the sympathy votes, because then the question is, I mean, government machinery is there. Why is it then that we can be consumed or fall into the tricks of saying that, oh, as a country we tried to do this, and then they started crying foul, they started saying that they're being targeted politically, and then we just leave it at that because of the cries?
I listen a lot to the finger pointing that we see in this country.
Yeah.
And it saddens me, because as long as we do that, we can never progress. To an extent that when you point at someone, 3 fingers point back at you to question, what are you doing yourself? And it's so easy to say that Ruto is the most corrupt, Ruto is this, Ruto is that, because that satisfies your ego in terms of deriding someone. You haven't looked at what Raila has done. You haven't looked at what, if you are supporting, because today, reality is that there will be on the ballot box, Dr. Ruto. On the ballot box, I believe there will be Raila Odinga. On the ballot box, there will be Wajakoya, there will be Wainaina, there will be somebody else. But trust me, the way this country politics are played, it's the masses that really matter. So there'll be 2 fellas who will be leading in terms of campaign and all that. It doesn't matter what they have done, and we can derail them. Our job should be to sit back and find a methodology to be able to fight the propaganda that is being propagated today. When you deride him, you give him more support, because the Kenyan mind works in a very simple way that, oh, so this guy is corrupt, yes, but this one is more corrupt. So I'd rather have this. The choices I have is between 2 corrupt guys, so I'd rather have this. So one will need to come up with something that is more tangible, that is more ideological, as it were, that can be sold to the masses. You must seduce the masses. The option would be for the military, which is not what we want to do. If we want to go election way, it is not deriding people. It's not calling them corrupt and shouting our voices to the highest order. It's to be able to find something that fights the conversation that they're having that will be accepted by the Wanjiko. The president himself is on record saying that 2 billion shillings are stolen every day. Who steals that money? Is it Ruto? No. It's every civil servant. You go to any office today, go to the lands office in Kajiado, they cannot do anything for you until you give them something. So when you deride this guy as being the most corrupt, what about the guy who is forcing a mama from Loitoktok who goes to Kajiado office, or a mama in Rumuruti, Rudemeto here in Kiambu, going to the Kiambu lands office and cannot get anything done until she pays 2,000. I would think that guy is more corrupt because he's killing that woman. How many people have lost properties in this town because of corruption? Too many of them. So, Linda, I'm saying we must, as a country, stop the rhetoric and start finding a way that can fight that propaganda that is up here so that we can be able to move together. But if you talk corruption, we are all corrupt. All of us.
And truth
and
be told,
we need to change our minds in terms of that so that we can be able to point on others without feeling guilty because 3 fingers are pointing at us.
Dr. Masanga, and this has been a conversation that has been there. One of the stories that have been captured in the papers, that is the Standard newspaper front page, is that Mudavadi is under pressure to support Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We have lost Dr. Masanga. All right. And when we speak about Mudavadi being told to shelve his interest, you know, when Mwati says that every other person is corrupt, there is so much truth in that, because, I mean, how many times have you heard of this conversation? Let's look at those ones that are presenting, you know, themselves for, you know, presidency, and look at least the one that is least corrupt. And, you know, on numerous occasions, you've had people say that, oh, well, at least Mudavadi, you know, is fair enough. So he's the kind of person that we might need to look at. And, you know, the very same person is being coerced to shelve his interest for the sake of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I mean, are we short of options, to be honest, that we have to get to these levels? And I mean, looking at what Mwati speaks of, there's not a single person who can stand if we're to talk about corruption today.
Well, that is my friend's version, the way he looks at it. People are born differently, the fingers are different. The way you describe things is a personal phenomenon. And when some of us speak about corruption, we speak because we have seen what has been going on. We have seen the president trying to come out to sanitize issues by coming up with sacking ministers and then returning them back. And of course, I agree with what he's saying, but as I said before I come to Mudavadi's issue, as I said before, out of 10 people, if 9 are corrupt, 1 is not corrupt, and I'm looking for that one. I'm not going to go to lie to the masses, to give monies to the masses, and then to ask them to vote for me, which means that I'll be embedded in elongating corruption. So I better get 1 vote out of 10 and go home peacefully with that good person who has voted for me, than people coming in to vote for me out of deceit. I was once a campaign advisor to Jonathan Goodluck during his re-election in Nigeria. And one day I asked the president, and I said, Your Excellency, how comes that there's too much money being used outside here? Then he said, Oga, you see, use money for them to vote for you, and then you change them.
Wow.
That narrative to me has never come out of my head. But then I also found out that that was not the right thing for me to do. It's rather I die the way I am today and be mourned after my death than being mourned before I die. Now when it comes to Musalia Mudavadi, Mudavadi is my best friend. We speak almost every time we meet and what have you. But I'm praying, Mr. Mwadi, that he deputizes Raila.
Oh, yeah?
The moment he deputizes Raila, then my dream will come true, and I'm not going to go for it.
Dr. Masanga, if you can hear us. Machiavellian politics.
Yes, yes. You know, where we come from with the Professor Wajekoya, we have suffered enough. And we play politics which is different. In Britain, no, in Britain, none of us, I have, Wajukoya will tell you I've never been a briefcase carrier. I refuse.
All right.
I am a man, a creator of jobs. Wajukoya knows, wherever I go, I create jobs. Even in Kenya. In Kenya, I've created jobs. There are so many people who are passing through my hands. Like Wajukoya has created jobs. He has got a law firm. I don't know about Murphy. He has never invited me to his office, but I'm waiting. So, Wajukoya, I've eaten his meat, I've eaten his tea. He has created, jobs. In London, we created jobs. For us, where we come from, 37 years I've been in exile. And I've learned quite a lot. One of the things is that corruption in Britain is condemned. Whether you are within the institution or outside the institution. And you declare your form, let Kenyans here, if you are declaring your annual income and you declare wrongly or falsely, by even 10 pence, they will lock you for even some years. Wajukoya knows the law. It is very bad. Corruption is a fault. It is the one that has brought us down. None of these candidates is telling the Kenyans how they will fight corruption. Because if you look at everybody quoting the Prime Minister of Singapore, the Prime Minister of Singapore killed his own relatives. He killed them. That was Wajukoya tell you in history. He put them in prison for life. And they said he will pay school fees for their children. But not them, they will not come out as long as he's the prime minister. That's how Singapore is today. So when you hear Ruto talking about we want the hustlers, the Ken nation to become like Singapore, how he must be in committee first himself, then he can direct the hustler nation. Corruption has brought this country to a standstill, and that must be fought by all intelligent people like Wachikoya, Mwafi, and the rest. Stand up and say enough is enough. You work hard. Wachikoya works hard. Wachikoya defends human rights across the globe. He stands for the rights of the people.
But if we were to talk corruption, Daktari, who will stand, to be honest?
Let's go. Did you see Jesus entering Jerusalem with any disciple?
He had to leave.
No, you read the Bible. Did you see Jesus entering after having a donkey? Jesus got a whip and entered there alone. Is there anywhere in the scripture of religion which says Jesus was with Peter in the temple? Go for it.
What are the likelihoods of this happening, Dr. Masanga? You have been talking about the lifestyle audit for the longest of time, a process that we know at some point in time was as well instigated by President Uhuru Kenyatta himself. But such has not played out in the country. So in as much as we're talking of how best we can root out corruption, I mean, we have seen President Uhuru Kenyatta so much so focused on the same. But, you know, so far, we really do not have a tangible fruit of the same. So to be honest, how can we be pointing fingers at Deputy President? He might be, you know, well, the worst in this game of corruption, but what more for these other ones that are on the side shoes?
I am not saying I am not DCI. I'm telling you, allegedly. The guy, all the managing directors who are sacked from their jobs, they cry one man quietly in their homes. If Kenyans, Wachikoya knows me, I don't hide the truth. Wachikoya knows me for a long time. I don't hide. Haki ya Mungu. They are crying. They lost their jobs. They lost their jobs because they were paying Murukomen and Kindiki money on the helicopters. They used to fly there. They said they have been sent. People have lost their jobs. And you see, when the vote comes, Wachikoya don't give up. There are sympathy votes that are going to fall from these two guys or whoever. Don't fall out yet. Stick there. There are sympathy votes coming for you because people are fed up with lies. Another thing that you talked about is Mudavadi. Oh my God. You know, Mudavadi is a younger man to us, to Wachikoya and the rest. He's young. But Mudavadi must join someone in order to have even 50,000 people at Uhuru Park.
Like
you know that? Yes.
All right.
Yes. I don't want to talk like you at all. Yes.
You're politely saying that Mudavadi has no numbers.
No, he can't win an election alone in Kenya.
But I mean, is there anyone who can win an election alone? Maybe.
No. Let me tell you, Mudavadi, Wetangula, and Kalonzo, they can't win an election in Kenya alone. You are just setting a stage. Ndio watu waambie ukweli sasa. Like what Wachikoya has said. If Mudavadi joins Baba, the train is fatter and good.
But the chances are higher for him, he says.
Oh yes, not even the chances.
But I mean, what difference will come in? Let's allow
Linda, let me cement the point of Wachikoya. Baba is about 70-80 going there.
Okay.
If you have studied political science like me and Wachikoya, strategy is the most important key to delivery of your brain. I would just join and support Baba quickly.
But is it not the same formation that we had in 2017, Daktari?
This time is not the same.
Or this time it's backed by the state or by the deep state, so to speak?
Who's telling you? You are talking of a deep state. Have you ever? Do you know that there is a darker state?
You tell us.
Has Wachikoya told you there is a darker state? There's a deeper state. Murphy knows the type of states. There is a a deeper state, and a darker state.
Yes.
A darker state has no terms of reference. Mark you. Yes. Yes.
And the deep state?
Yes, everywhere. And Wachikoya knows that a darker state in any institution like America, you know, he does a lot of his education in America and Britain. A darker state does not talk much. Deeper state can talk. Darker state does not.
In this case, then, Right Honorable Raila Odinga is favored by?
Of course, he's gone, home and dry. You can play your politics. This Ruto can see air, hot air.
Hold it right there. Of what ramifications then would it be for, you know, probably an evidence scenario where you see...
Make
it brief so that the other gentleman can come in, Dr.
Yes, before Wachikoya comes in. If you see Matsanga supporting Ruto, supporting Raila, then you know there is something very strange, isn't it?
Yes.
Can't you see read the signs on top?
You have never been his supporter before.
All of us are Christians. Look at the signs. Look at the signs.
Is that the reason why we're having civil servants, we're having CSs coming out in broad daylight to back them? And isn't it, going against the Constitution? Is it not impunity at its highest level?
It is up to Wachikoya to take action.
All right. The gentleman on board. Yes. Is this not a show of impunity, to be honest, Alex?
Yeah. Let me handle the issue of the Mudavadi supporting Raila.
Raila first.
It's also another obvious thing that when the team of Mudavadi, Kalonzo, Wetangula keep having meetings under what they are calling Oka, they are simply angling for deputy president position. They know, like everyone else knows, that they don't have the muscles to be able to get to be president, even if they combine their forces. We saw in Makueni the other day an independent candidate taking up a post of MCA, and Wiper was number 3. That tells you how strong Kalonzo would be in that area. So this is obvious, and that's why you remember last week they were trying to sit down and have a pact between the 3 of them. I think the 3 of them, Kalonzo, Mudavadi, and Wetangula, and Gideon Moi, where they signed an agreement that none of them will form a coalition with anybody else. Which sounded very, very, very funny, because they need to form a coalition with someone else if they're going to be relevant in this country. So if he's being pushed there, the idea would be that back to our old tribal politics, that the Western vote will come with him to ODM. Now, the issue at hand, Linda, in this country is reality versus what we do on radio station and TV stations, and that becomes more academic than real. The reality on the ground is that people have their own misconception as to who their leader ought to be. And the people in this country has allowed people to be schemed to come to the top. So that if you go to parliament, there are 390 members of parliament, but hardly 30, 40 of them ever speak. Forget about the idea of even contributing by having a bill to sort about an issue in this country. And there are many issues that they could address: health, housing, education. There are things that they could address. They don't, because we allowed the worst in us to become our leaders. So when you talk about corruption, we need to talk about with that in mind, that the reality is people on the ground have embraced it as a way of life. Okay? So when we condemn leaders, the people on the ground don't see it that way. They see it differently. When I go to vie for argument's sake, Roysambu constituency, because I live in Garden Estate, which is in Roysambu, the first expectation that people will have is that I'll have start meetings with the elders and opinion shapers. And what are those meetings about? It's about giving them lunch. It's about giving them money. And And people have internalized that as a way of politics. So we can sit here and talk about a lot, the theories that come, until we have a strategy to break up that. It's just rhetoric. And that's my point.
All right.
That we have right now 2 horses, Raila Odinga, William Ruto, that are leading. And they are not just leading, they are leading in numbers. Forget about what they have done and what they have not done. They are leading with numbers on the ground. And if election is called, people will not vote the ideas we give and the rhetoric we make. People will vote on the basis of the fact that these people have convinced them, one way or another, with their propaganda, that they're the best to lead them. And they accept it.
All right. I know you would probably wish that, we have CSs joining you in a campaign, trying to push you, endorse you in the different parts that they hail from. But what does it speak about the aspect of democracy? What does it speak of what the rule of law dictates? What does it speak about, us being true to what service is all about, especially as to what is enshrined in the Constitution?
Thank you very much. And of course, in this election, I appear to be the underdog. But it's good to be the underdog when people do not know what's in your mind, people do not know your plans, people do not know whatever. It was amazing. Let me put it this way. It was amazing when I went to some of the parts I've been in the country, especially in the greater zone of Rift Valley, the coast, and also in Nyanza. The reception I got was from men of uprightness, men and women of uprightness. And let me speak of the late Thomas Sankara. I did not even believe that I was going to meet even one person. And I remember when I was with Halwale somewhere here, Halwale said that when you go somewhere, you'll not even meet 5 people. And that's what the newspapers have been building. Indeed. But let me also tell my friend Alex here that things are very different. If I had the clout these people have, the government gave me a helicopter today, things will change and I'll be the next president in this country. People are fighting for what they have not seen yet. And I've experienced what I experienced recently when I went around the country on my own volition. So the issue of perception and numbers, many of these people will be very surprised when I get elected. I am not talking it out. I was in Mombasa the other day, last weekend. Ruto was in Mombasa, addressing masses of people. Some of them do not even have votes. I was addressing people who have masses, who refuse to go to Ruto's rally, trail. And these were 150 pastors seated. And they were like telling me, this is what we want to do. We want you to do ABCD. And I told them that my plan is within myself, because if I start running now, I'll get exhausted. And my friend Maina Njiki is getting exhausted. Now, these people are running because they are being oiled by the government in one way or the other. Ruto has got money, he's the deputy president. He has got the entourage, taxpayers' money is being used there to woo the people. Of course, he has people he has appointed in government who will bring people to his rallies. Raila equally has got his diehard supporters. But I've come in, and trust me, the other day when Ruto was going to Mumias, my hometown, I told my people there that do not even raise a finger. Let the deputy president speak, let him speak his agenda, and clap for him where it is necessary. Keep quiet when he doesn't make any point. And he went in, and that was democracy. I even called the OCS of Mumias police station, and I told him, make sure that the deputy president is given an ear, because I do not want any incident coming from Mumias, as it has always been. Whenever somebody goes there, some goons throw stones here and there. You'll never hear of that because I've killed him. Now, when he went to Busia the other day, you saw people throwing stones at him. And I also made a proclamation, and I told the people of Busia, what you've done is wrong. Therefore, people, as I speak to you today, some people are going to get a shock, because the people talking to me from other parties, including those big parties who want to join Roots, or who have already joined but they are waiting for the right time to come, they are also there. Don't think that I'm alone. Let people not come up with this rhetoric of saying that, oh, the status quo is... I've tilted the balance today. Today, I'm being hard. It's only the media that is not giving me what, because of corruption in the media, and also some media houses...
But you're here.
No.
Prophet, we always see you across the different...
I'm talking of the media in my rallies.
Yes.
I'm not talking of even the the television studio. Yes, yes.
Engagements.
Yeah, but still I'm talking to them also because they are my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I cannot just blame them holistically. Now, if you go to the undecided voters who will not vote for the status quo, 40%, and I'm told Dwale spoke of this recently, that these undecided voters might go for Professor Wajakoya. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows whether Ikuru is going to come tomorrow to tilt my balance?
All right.
I'm afraid of those who have not yet joined, but I'm not afraid of those who are there.
All right, Dr. Basanga, as you come in, and this you cannot leave it for the gentleman here to address. I have equally had you at some point in time, questioning, and this not based on the politics in the country, but across borders. It's on numerous occasions where you'll find it easy for an incumbent to probably be able to use state machinery and manage their campaigns at a certain point. But even in such cases, it is normally questioned. At some point in time, people argue that this is punishable by law. What does it speak, or what does it mean when we see ours coming out, in broad daylight, and they actually declare that they are going to support so and so, and it becomes pretty hard to get the line as to whether, well, this is right or this is not right in terms of who they come out to support at a point when we all know very well that they should be out there serving the nation.
Thank you very much. I agree to some extent with some of the views that Professor Wajikoya is putting forward, and what Matthew is putting across. Our state or our nations in Africa have not reached a level where people will understand that Professor Wajikoya has very good views. People still think, they look at you, they say, what about the stomach? We have that problem in Africa. They ask for the stomach first. And in conflict resolution, Prof, there are three things that make a human being to be happy: the head, the heart, and the stomach. If one of those is not working, then you find a long journey on this trail of politics. In Kenya, Uganda, and across Africa, except in South Africa, where elections are conducted peacefully and then handed over, people don't demand too much. But in Africa, in Kenya, they demand a lot. In Uganda, they demand a lot. In fact, it is even worse in Uganda, where you find that the ruling party even pays MPs to change the constitution. They pay. They give you two cars, V8, new ones, over millions of shillings towards the voting time. So we have a problem of the stomach, Professor, which is a big problem in Africa to heal. In Britain, you can campaign without the stomach because someone will buy his sandwich and come and listen to you. In Kenya, it is difficult to campaign without the money. They are using all means. Yes, I agree, Ruto is using state machinery, because he's even using the state house as his campaigning ground, and no lawyer in this country like Matthew and Wajikoya have gone to court singularly to query how a deputy head of state has actually decorated a house which is meant to be for meeting all Kenyans, not political party. All Kenyans is being used for propaganda against the same Kenyans. Nobody. All of you are lawyers. You are there. You have seen that it is being, used. He's using government machinery. He's using government machinery to campaign. So the others have sat down and said, if nobody in Kenya is querying this, then we can also join the race. And that's why you see the PSS also running there. But the most dangerous thing that you can see in this politics of Kenya is a state house being given a flag of yellow and green and a tent permanently put there for meeting people. And you people are watching. What type of elections are you going to have? Finally, let me agree that Wajikoya, don't give up. Don't give up, my son. Don't. My younger brother don't. If you give up, the people will not listen to the message. It might not be this time, but it could be the next time people will think. You never know, there's a sympathy vote. Some people don't like to see these two guys. And first of all, have you seen what type of election we are going to have? There are two men who are extreme. One is Ruto, very extreme. He will never agree. He will even jump on the table and finish returning office. You 2007. Ruto was the one who jumped on the table wanting to beat that Kivuvi, the returning electoral commission. I was here in Intercontinental with Sky News, I saw. And today is on the other side. Raila is on this other side. I think the lawyers in that studio should talk about our elections. What type of election will Kenya have? What type of results? What type of campaigning? Before you go to any stage of going through this race, Kenyans united, they healed. You can see drugs being thrown around mass, which worry us as peacemakers. Wachikoya would not like to see his child being harassed again like the way we ourselves were. We don't want to see that. We don't want our children to run to exile like ourselves. I and Wachikoya, we have lived in exile for long. When we regret at one stage, but we also say we got a lot of knowledge from this exile and experience. So why don't we first look at a united Kenya, a healing Kenya, a healed Kenya? Then we come and talk about this politics. And I want, since Wachikoya is here, I want to ask one question as a lawyer. Is there a law in Kenya that allows election to be campaigns to be conducted in a particular time? Is there that law? Why has the Electoral Commission, has it got powers to say, I don't want to see anybody campaigning now? Is there that law? Please look for me. I'll sell one of my shoes, a pair of shoes or something, and I'll give you money to go to court to challenge. Is there a law in Kenya? When should
Oh, hi guys. Sorry, you found me 5 minutes before I started recording, but anyway, so most of you have been asking me why I started Lady CLC 19 with Joy Rongo. I have also had my own share of pain. I know how it feels to want to give up. This is basically here to speak hope and inspire somebody who's going through a rough patch, to tell them that they can turn their pain into power. Our guests are normally here to share their experiences so that you can know somebody else did it, so you can also come out of it stronger and better. Let me go to my recording, and remember to always stay tuned every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Undertaking husband duties on a boyfriend tender.
Guys, with bromance, do you share your woman with the bro?
Have a sister? Give me your sister. I show you how these things are done.
So you go release and be like,
Men supporting each other, not only financially, but also socially.
Don't mingle with women you can't deal with.
Is there really a formula for dating and marriage?
Some men are procreational, some men are recreational.
Every Wednesday on TV47, the Men's Conference brings you a cocktail of top-notch advice to breed alpha males for alpha females in the society.
Tunaweza tumia hii tenje kutrace hiyo dope.
Mimi naitwa Ben. Mimi ndo rafiki ya babako.
Tumeleta dozi zako usimize mtoto.
And now we have to deal with a drug addict.
Yaani uliwa mzai wako.
I had to.
Sema! Dozi zangu ziko wapi?
Ben!
Tuisheni Uganda.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher and trickier with each passing day.
Na wawache kuja kutuletea makasiriko.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
Nonetheless, you have justified your change of stance on
It's my bloody personal politics.
Tell them this. They could have gone to do law so that they become judges. They do not have.
And that's where now it becomes the whole point of impunity. Because then we are immune to the law. We do what we want to do when we want to do it. And it is a sad situation because a country that goes in that direction collapses. And my prayer has been that we don't collapse, because right now, and it's nice for us to be academic about things, but on the ground, really, people are enjoying what they're seeing. And that's why on a Wednesday, someone goes to a town in Mumias or wherever it is, and thousands of people come out. So they're doing nothing, so they're being impoverished, but they are coming out. I sometimes wonder, they are closing their offices, they are closing their shops to be able to go and enjoy this particular moment. And with that there, then impunity will continue.
Right.
There's nothing, it's very little one can do, and I'm happy that Masanga is questioning why don't we go to court and question this. But it will be very simple. Who did a campaign meeting? Where?
Where?
Yesterday, Kiamba, in Ruaka, in Riverori. The other day, Raila Odinga went to Kiambu, to Meru, to wherever. He didn't do a campaign meeting.
It was a meet of people.
It was a meet the people tour. And Matiang'i said yesterday, and you must listen very carefully. He said, the law does not prevent anybody from going anywhere in this country. And you can meet as many people as you want because they're your friends.
Okay.
So when Ruto was in Ruaka yesterday, he was meeting his friends in Ruaka. They stopped him on the road to address them. There is no law that can stop you from meeting anyone.
Can I ask? Yes. Can I ask one question for the only? I will not talk.
Sure, again. Sure.
Are there no churches in the electorate?
Such that
there are no churches.
Of course, they are.
Where you can. There. Yeah. Then why is Ruto? Is it on the Mount Kenya where God is found?
But it's not always Mount Kenya where he is anyway.
No. Because this guy uses this pretext that he goes to church to meet people, like Matthew is saying. But the people in Eldoret also need prayers.
But why is it that he hits the DP so hard and not the others?
Why is Ruto? Why doesn't Ruto meet and also pray around the Rift Valley?
We've seen Mudavadi going to church in different places. We've seen
I am asking. That's why I'm asking. And is God only in Mount Kenya?
You tell us, is God only?
Asking.
Well, certainly
an intelligent question for intelligent people to answer, like you, Linda, and Wajikoya, and Amwam. Is God only found here?
Professor.
Is God everywhere? Because God, people in Eldoret also want God. Your own people want God everywhere. Is God? The Bible says anywhere, as long as you are 2 or 3. Why is it on the Mount Kenya that the deputy president now turns around and says, "Oh, who told me to start a campaign?" Rubbish.
Let's allow Professor Wajakoya come in.
He did not respect the president. He has not respected Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He was told in Kampala, go back and respect your president. Let him fly there. Tell him to fly there now. Tell him.
All right, Professor Wajakoya,
Tell him that get a flight and go there.
Hold it right there. Daktari, let's allow Professor then respond to the same. And you know, I don't know whether yours have been campaigns or meet the people tours.
To be honest with you,
yeah.
Let's not lie. Because if I lie today,
yeah.
then I will go the Machiavelli, the way you're saying. In Mombasa recently, I was invited.
Right.
In Rift Valley, I was invited by the women group who wanted to put up a chicken factory. So I went to officiate, and then I did what I did with the little that I had. But coming to what my colleagues have said, you can see that I have not even rolled out my campaign. I have not gone out there to stab the law as being the most high priest of Jesus. I have not gone to the holy mountain because I have nothing to go to do there, because I have not sinned. The day I will sin, you will see me in the holy mountain. Because the holy mountain is a holy mountain, and God loves people who go before him and append their sins. As long as I have not yet sinned to an extent of that, then I'm not going to defile the house of Lord. The mountain that you hear people going there, they will be burned very soon, because before you go there, there's always fire, and you can read that biblically. So let them go there. Let them atone their sins first and go there. But if they are going to God before they atone their sins, then you will see the consequences from January next year.
Right.
You see all these motorcades and intelligence, those people are going to run away from those people. They will come on the side of the truth. Thank you.
All right. Here we are, and I do not know how much then we can address this. We need to take a quick breather, and we come back and look at all these events that have taken center stage in regards to intolerance. We're still on that, and what it will take for our people to be convinced that, you know what, politics will always be politics, but, you know, we need to have the country right after elections. We need to make sure that the country is safe for all of us, because reality is that politicians will appear as though they are fighting, but in real sense, they are friends. So we take a quick break and we come back and continue with that conversation.